absolutely laughable.
When you consider that this race has been part and parcel of the Australian sporting calendar for so long, that so many Australians have taken so much pleasure in it, it's a tragedy to try and make it more and more professional, slicker and slicker, and only have the international referees come in and set it back so far.
From the moment these piece of people set foot in the country and said Brock can't run number 05 on his car, they should have said, take your Asia and Pacific Championship and shove it up the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, it's crazy. They've done more damage to Franco-Australian relations than the Muro atom bomb tests, I suspect.
Anyway, we've got that off our chest. Let me tell you, this race is about a lot of guys out there in Commodores, BMWs, Aussies. That's what this race was founded on some 25 years ago, and next year it'll go back to it. Make no mistake. Okay, the Mazda pace car comes down to Caltech's chase. We're ready to go racing. Sorry about the break in the activity at Mount Panorama, but I think you're going to find a very interesting charge back at the car that sits behind the pace car in a moment, because Alan Moffat will want to get back up there and in some clear air. Tony Longhurst. Here comes the pace car into the pits. We're ready to go back and racing. Interesting to see whether or not Larry Perkins ducks into the pits as well. Spectators stand on the banks and start cheering because we have the great race underway again. A green flag is out. And forget the order of the field across the line, because Alan Moffat is still your race leader in car number 9. Second place being held by Tony Longhurst. The 45, Armand Hana, Robbie Transovic Sierra is running in third place, then Larry Perkins in fourth. Then the remaining Dick Johnson, number 18 car, back there in fifth spot. And the sixth car going through there is Colin Bond in the Caltech CXT Sierra. First car in.
57 is in. This was to be the Neil Crompton drive. David Parsons, of course, was at the wheel, but this car's now been taken over by Peter Brock, and Jim Richards was in 7th position when it came to the pits.
What have we got here? They're all lifting the back of the car up, so the air jack hasn't worked. No, it's got it. There's something wrong with the air jack, is it? So the guys have had to grab the back of the bimmer, lift it to make sure they could change wheels. So the rear jack on the mobile BMW is not working. In our Motorcraft pit report, we believe this is the car that both Peter Brock and Jim Richards will share for the remainder of the day. They've got the hood up at the moment. There's not a lot of activity happening there.
Jim Richards in the car. I can see Peter Brock standing by there. Not able. Now they're away. Okay. So, it'll be interesting to see whether they've held station when they go back out on the track. They were in 7th spot, remember. There's car 25, Tony Longhurst. The Benson Hedges Sierra. They've rejoined in 8th position, the Brock Richards car, 57. Longhurst in 2nd spot on the track.
Be great to see Tony finish in a major place here today. Very, very professional team. Great team manager in Frank Gardner, wily veteran of motorsport. Very exuberant young driver. For a number of years, if there was a dogfight going on the racetrack, you just knew that Tony Longhurst had to be in it. We have a brawl going on here in the pit area.
This is over the...
So I think it's worth trying.
Let's go to Richard.
Yeah, the problem with what was Neil Crompton's car and has now become Peter Brock and Jim Richards' car, I believe, was with the air jack system. Is that right, Peter?
Yes. Yes, we've... the plan was that if we had a problem, we would go back to our second car and allow Neil Crompton to earn his keep. Because Neil, of course, is got a TV camera in that car and he loves talking.
Now, what was the problem with the car that's just been into the pits with the air jack system?
It's just the air jack is jammed on it, so looks going back to the old plan of about 1973. We used to change tyres for the trolley track. So the boys are going to get out the old history books and see how it's all done, but it's okay. We'll do all right.
The old 21-second pit stop there might be a goner for that car.
Could become a 41-second one real easy, but we're hanging in there.
More problems in this troubled race then for Peter Brock.
Thank you very much, Richard Hay. Nothing phases Brocky, does it?
Not a thing.
There's Neil Crompton We'll show a little of Neil, who's stepped into the other car, coming down Conrod Straight. Sorry, wrong car, 57 car. We'll go to the race cam a little later in Neil's car. He's doing quite a job today. The blue jacket, the interviews, the race call and the driving. Jimmy Richards, if anyone can pull anything out of a BMW, make no mistake, it'll be Jimmy Richards.
Three-time winner at Bathurst previously, Jim Richards, in partnership with Peter Brock. Those were great years for that combination in the late 70s, and of course 1980, their last victory together. And got the racetrack to himself at the moment, but let's check the positions. Alan Moffat leads in the number 9 ANZ Sierra, followed by Tony Longhurst in car 25, then Francovic Hana in the Wolf Racing Sierra in 3rd spot. Larry Perkins, Denny Holm at the wheel of the Castile Commodore in 4th spot, then John Bow in the 18 Shell Sierra holding down 5th. 6th position, Bond and Jones in the Caltex Sierra, Scott and Nakaya in the Rally Art Stallion in 7th place, then Brock Richards in 8th spot on the track in car 57, Giddings and Stewart car 44 holding down 9th in the Sheck and Caltex car, and Shield and Preston coming into it in the Rally Art Stallion car 31.
In home and away.
Back at Mount Panorama, lap 50 out of 161 in the Tooheys 1000, the great race of 88, car 57 on 56 rather on screen is Neil Crompton. Now this was the original Brock Richards car, which had the oil problem after hitting a tyre. Brock Richards now in the 57 car, but they've got this one up and running again to give Neil Crompton and David Parsons a shot at least finishing the race here this afternoon. Well, action aplenty. We've had the pace car and all sorts of things happening in the last hour. Let's update hour 2 of the Tooheys 1000 with Michael. Well, it's good to see that Neil is getting a run. I mean, he's put heart and soul into the effort along with the rest of the Brock team over the past 12 months and deserved his first crack at Bathurst.
He lives and breathes this motorsport, does Neil Crompton, and he's very good at it. And it would have been a damn shame if he didn't get a run after all the practice, all of the sweat. There he is at the helm.
Well, you can see the Crompton style. Tends to sit forward a little bit, not quite as much as John Bow does, but he likes to keep a grip on the wheel and hunched over the steering wheel. He's in position 30 at the moment, and that's not too bad considering all the dramas that they've had with the car. They've completed 42 laps, which puts them 10 laps down on the race leader. But you never know, another accident, a pace car out again, a few more cars expire. It doesn't take long to work your way up the field in a race like this with still 4 hours to run.
With the attrition rate so far today, he could pick up some prize money yet.
Yes.
Neil's on wheels, as we call him at Triple M. Does a fine job for us too.
He's the pride of those folk in Ballarat today watching our telecast. Alan Grice, Win Percy, number 2 FAI Insurance Commodore, back in the pits as we take yet another Motorcraft pit report.
Percy staying behind the wheel, changing tyres at the front only. No fuel taken on board, and that seemed to be the only problem. So they must have had a steering problem with the car and put it down to tyre wear, and they've changed the 2 on the front. There's the 16 car, the Starion, Gary Scott, and the Japanese driver Nakaya in 7th position on the track. A very commendable effort, you know.
They did well here last year. They did well the year before. Doug Stewart, of course, is connected with Mitsubishi. Was very, very confident they could put up a bold showing here at Mount Panorama, coming up behind Stewart in the 44 Caltex car.
Rally Art, of course, have got a dual entry. They've also got car 31 in the race. Terry Shield and Michael Preston driving that entry. Shield cross-entered within this car as well, along with Gary Scott and Akihiko Nakaya.
Has it ever been clearly established, Michael, whether Starion was what they intended to call it, or it was just a Japanese misnomer, typographical error?
Starion.
Was it to be a stallion originally, do you think?
It could have been. It got lost in the translation.
Whatever it's called, given the power disadvantage it has here at Mount Panorama. They're doing remarkably well. 7th position for Astarion isn't something I'd have bet on about 2 or 3 hours ago.
Well, it is a most unusual race this year, the 1,000, and everything is going quite nice for the Rally Art team. There are 2 cars. Don't bet that this car won't finish in the top 10 this afternoon. Giddings and Stewart. The second Caltex CXT Sierra sit behind it. So they're looking pretty sharp at this stage of the race. Let's have a look at them now on the scoreboard. Alan Moffat and Klaus Niedzwitz continue to lead. They've got a 1-lap break on Tony Longhurst and Thomas Mazira. Then third, Robbie Francevic and West German Armin Hanna. Fourth is car number 18, John Smith and John Bauer in the Shell Ultra High Sierra. Fifth, car number 10, Perkins and Holm in the Castrol Commodore. 6th place is held by car 4, the Caltex Sierra of Colin Bond and Alan Jones. 7th, 16, Scott and Acaia in the Starion that we've been following. 8th is 57, Brock and Richards in the Mobile BMW. 9, car number 44, Giddings and Stewart that we have been looking at in the Caltex Sierra. And rounding out the 10, Sheila and Preston in the Rally Art Starion. There's still a lot more of action to come from Mount Panorama.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama in the Tooheys 1000 of 1988, and after 54 laps, car 9, Alan Moffat at the wheel of the ANZ Sierra, is still in the lead, thanks largely to Klaus Niedzwitz and the support of Rudy Eggenberger. This car is up and running like a train, and they've got a very big lead at the moment of 1:40 over Tony Longhurst in the Benson and Hedges Sierra in 2nd place, and 3rd spot still being held down by the Wolf Racing Sierra. Robbie Francevic driving that car at the moment. He's about 50 seconds behind Longhurst at the present time. Let's go to John Brady, another update from the pits.
Yes, thanks very much, Gary. Alan Grice's car in yet again. Alan, it's been frustrating. What was the problem this time?
Youthful exuberance, perhaps on Wynn's behalf. He locked up the front somewhere and flashed one at a time pretty heavily. So at this stage, if we were in contention and up at the front, he would have just persevered with it, put up with the vibration. But as we're so far back because of the electrical problem, he decided to come in for a drink and wipe the lens on the camera and get some more tyres on.
But it has been a frustrating day. That electrical problem took a long while to find.
Yeah, it did. It's a Murphy's Law, isn't it? You know, it's engine management system now. It's all electronic, organised by a computer, and Murphy's Law comes into contention very strongly there, and it's always the last sender or the last sensor. In this case, it was the sender on the crankshaft that was faulty. As soon as they replaced that, the cars out there running, in fact, I think a little faster than the leading cars.
Watch it go around now and hope.
Well, we'll just go around and fly the FAI flag, and I think we're the last camera car left, so we'll fly the Channel 7 flag as well.
Good on you, mate. We need you. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Thank you, John Brady. Better check some class positions here too as we see Wyn Percy. No wonder they just changed the front tyres last time they came in. That explanation makes it pretty clear from Alan Grice. More yellow cars in the race this year. Yellow is the worst colour for race cars, you know.
Yeah, it looks like a cab fleet. New York City.
In the 1600 to 2500 cc class, and that division includes the BMW M3s, of course. 57, the mobile car now being driven by Peter Brock and Jim Richards. Richards at the wheel at the moment is leading that category from car 54. That's the John Sachs entry, the New Zealander John Sachs with John Sorensen as the co-driver, and car 53, the Gould Motorsport entry of Trevor Crow and Peter Jansen in 3rd spot. And in the under 1600cc category, the all Toyota benefit, car 71 leading, as you would have expected, I think, John Faulkner and Drew Price in the Corolla, followed by 73. That's Brett Riley and Peter McKay, our sometime motorsport correspondent here with us on the 7 Network, co-driving that in 2nd spot, and car 74 holding down 3rd. That's Brian Bate and Andrew Marr, also in a Toyota Corolla. And in fact, that's all there is in that category. It's very nice to welcome to Bathurst and to the great race once again, Neville Hay from the UK. Well, you saw plenty of Dick Johnson at Silverstone, Neville. In fact, you probably saw more of him there than we've seen of him here today.
We sure did. He really surprised everybody, I think, in the way that he went when he came over to Silverstone, and he led that race very, very easily. And Now we're seeing a bit of excitement now because that sole surviving car of the Johnson team has got right behind Alan Moffat. And I remember earlier on this year meeting Alan Moffat at Monza when he actually went along to buy that car. And I think he bought it with one aim in mind, this race.
Absolutely.
Well, he hasn't stretched the car. He's driven it very conservatively when he's driven it in Australia. And he's driven it fairly conservatively here at Bathurst today too, Neville. And it's paid off. While the frantic pace early has accounted for a good many of the fancied Sierras, Moffat's out there circulating very strongly with, and I hope I'm not putting the mockers on him here, no hint of a problem. And I know a lot of people who've supported Moffat over the years, even though he's still seen in motorsport circles as the bad guy, will be very pleased to have him back and doing so well.
Yes, I'll drink to that because he is a class act, Alan Moffat. And
you'll drink to that because he's carrying your money, Wilco.
Quite correct. Well, let's check out, and this is the position, the full field, surviving field here in the great race. Moffat Needsvitz in the lead, of course, followed by Longhurst and Mazira in the 25 car. Francevic and Hana, car 45 in third spot. The sole surviving Shell car, John Bow at the wheel at the moment in fourth place. Then the Perkins Holm Castrol Commodore, car number 10 in fifth place. Then Bond and Jones, the Caltech Sierra in sixth. Scott Nakaya in the Rally Out Stallion, seventh place. Rock and Richards now in the 57 car in eighth spot. Giddings and Stewart in the second Caltech Sierra in ninth. Shield and Preston, the second Rally Out car, holding down 10th spot. Bryan and Lintott in a Commodore in 11th place. Ashby Reed, a Commodore in 12th. The Medecky Sopa Sierra, they've had a lot of ill luck with that car, in 13th place, but still battling away. Crow and Jansen in a BMW M3 in 14th place. And Noski and Moore, they've slipped down a bit in 15th place. Leeson and Wilmington in car 50 in 16th place, followed by Saxby and Sorensen in the M3. The Commodore of Kay and Mundy in 18th place. Lambden and Bailey in 19th, and the Lusty Brothers Commodore there in 20th spot. Hunter and Harrington Commodore, we're getting a bunch of Commodores here. They're in 21st. Mulverhill and Leeds 22nd. Then Callahan and Graham, also a Commodore, in 23rd spot. Faulkner and Price, the first of the Corollas. Gee, they're doing well for the little car to be up there in 24th place. Then Harvey and Bartlett's red Commodore in position 25. Riley and McKay, another Corolla, in 26th spot. The Bate and Marker we were just talking about in 27th place. Park and Tyndall Commodore not running well today, back in 28th. Then Holden and Beck, another of the small cars, in 29th. Crompton and Parsons still going round in the Brock car in position number 30. Finnegan and Matthews, only 42 laps completed by them at this point, puts them in 31th position. Mortimer and Ratcliffe's Corolla also has had some trouble. They're 32nd. Oliver and Freeman, we saw them spin out and come backwards down the Forest Elbow. They're 33rd. Rogers and Andretti only completed 37 laps before Andretti put it in the wall. And Grice and Percy have had all sorts of problems, and they're back in 35th position at the moment. Bow and Gravitt, the sole surviving Shell car, battling away in 36th spot. Johnson's car, of course, has had it in 37th, only completed 22 laps. Carter and Masterton, we saw what happened to them, parked up in the cutting. Ward and Clement, did they ever dig it out of the sand trap? I don't know. Selby and Duquette, their Corollas had a lot of trouble as well. Only 19 laps completed would put it back in 40th place. Fury and Scaife, well, the Skyline's wretched luck again. That car's expired. Rogers and Jones also. Radicic and Finau only completed 12 laps. Bagnall and Dieudonné, what a waste that was. Only 9 laps completed. And McLeod and Keogh didn't go too far either. Well, that just about completes the lineup here, and we'll be back with more of the action up front in a moment. Is 1000 for 1988, and on-screen car 44 is the second of the Caltech Sierras. John Giddings and Bruce Stewart. Of course, Colin Bond cross-ended in this car, so he can get into it. That's the second of the Stallions behind him as well.
Apparently there's been another problem for BMW at the top of the mountain. As soon as we can get pictures of that, we'll bring them to you. Hopefully it isn't your friend and mine. Niels on Wheels has been doing quite well since he got into the car. He started back after their oil cooler problems in 36th position and worked his way up to 30.
Car 44 is in 9th position. The Giddings and Stewart Caltech's entry. Just had some more interesting speed readouts down Conrod Straight. Moffat clicking up 284 Ks
Johnson second fastest so far today, along with Longhurst at 282 clicks, Wilco.
Yeah, well, Dick did say earlier that he thought he'd be doing up to a 295 down there, but I don't think that is the case. Well, he's got Dick, John Brady's got Dick Johnson with him at the moment. Let's find out just what is happening over in the Shell camp.
Thanks very much, Gary. Dick, you're not too many laps away from hopping back into the number 18 car yourself.
Actually, I'll get in the 18 car. Johnson there at the moment. I think he's up to about 4th already, so yeah, we're still in there with a chance.
You've had some lucky times at Bathurst over the years, but this must be close to ranking with them. You started with 3.
Yeah, I think we'll start with 5 next year. Might be a better chance, eh?
Mate, just quickly, can you make that time up? Like, it's a foreign car too. You've driven the other one most of the time.
Well, bear in mind there's an awful lot of the race to go yet, so you know, we're just waiting and hoping that if the others strike trouble, we're right there.
Thanks very much, Dick.
Uh-oh, car 57.
Where are you?
Well, this is
Very silent.
Richards.
Very silent.
That's Jimmy Richards in what was the Parsons Crompton car after they swapped because of the oil cooler problems.
Yes.
Have we cleared that one up?
If you're confused,
you?
7th spot they were in, so the other car had slipped back to 30th place, and this car is not going anywhere. I don't know what the... Oh, hello. Jim's trying to edge it, I guess, to a safer part of the circuit if he can.
Yeah, that's
turning it over on the starter motor.
Yeah, drive it on the starter motor, Jim, because that's an awful place to be. They haven't had much luck, Brock and Richards.
Well, that's the end of the session, I would say, for those guys. Here's 45, Robbie Francevic. And it's great to see him in a car that's up and running with the leaders. Car 45, the Peanut Bar...
Peanut Slab.
Sierra.
It looked peanut brittle there earlier. They had a few problems in the pits, but out and running strongly. Now, you just saw where Jimmy Richards was stopped at the top of the mountain, right on line. A very dangerous place to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the pace car out again to get rid of that one.
Robbie Francevic, we've seen racing here in Australia previous seasons. I haven't seen him for a while, but it is good to see him back because he's quite a character.
Made his name out here in the turbocharged Volvo.
Yeah, that's right. People couldn't believe that a Volvo could fly quite as fast as it did, but Robbie Francevic certainly made it move. Now driving a Sierra. He's a Kiwi, of course, but he's a good bloke.
From the land of the wrong white crowd.
His 4th start here at Bathurst, former Australian Touring Car Championship winner in Volvo and winner of the Wellington 500 in 1985. And he's one of those guys that adds just an enormous amount of colour to the racing scene. Controversial, not afraid to say what he means. And of course, teaming up in this race as he has with Armin Hahner, that's a very strong combination.
Absolutely, and they're going very well.
A Wolf-prepared car.
Wolf, I think is the pronunciation. Wolf.
Yeah, the Hahner family have been involved in motor racing a long time. In fact, Hahner's brother used to drive for BMW and was very successful in the 60s and early 70s. And Armin came in. He's a dentist by profession, which might interest Mike, actually.
That's why he's always looking down on the mouth. Is that right, Neville?
That's it.
Somebody's got to do the jokes. I wish I could. He was very successful out here. I think I mentioned earlier, he actually won the race team with Johnny Goss in 1985 when they turned out for Jaguar.
Yeah, it's very interesting. When you get those boys in Sierras back in Europe, there's a big sort of ego battle goes on between Steve Soper, between Ludwig, between the other Klaus Niedvig, and Armin Hans in the middle of it as well, and then chuck in Andy Rouse as well, and it's a big ego battle for Klaus in practice.
It's a big battle to get nourishment up here in the commentary booth at the moment, Wilco, in high dudgeon. It seems that Channel 7 have managed to replicate the quality of the 7 canteen at Epping right here in the commentary booth. That'll get back, Wilco. They're wheeling that car away now, the 57 BMW being pushed to a safer place. Jimmy Richards helping with the muscle.
You know, that's an interesting thing. We've got coming up to lap, in fact, the number 18 car, which is the quickest currently, I think, of the remaining Sierras that were really showing everybody where to go. Dick Johnson's cars. We've got leading car coming at 11.
This car is in third place on the track, as we said, at the present time, behind Alan Moffat in the number 9 ANZ Sierra, then Tony Longhurst, Robbie Francevic in third spot, John Bow in the last of the Shell cars in fourth place, Denny Holm at the wheel of the Castrol Commodore holding down fifth spot, Colin Bond in the Caltech Sierra in sixth, Scott and Nakaya seventh in the Starion, Sheelan Preston in eighth spot in the second of the Starion entries, Giddings and Stewart doing a good job in the second Caltex car in ninth spot, and O'Brien and Lintott have moved up into number 10 place at the moment.
3 of 161, the Tui's 1000 from Mount Panorama at Bathurst in New South Wales. Car number 36, the Everlast Commodore, currently running 10th on the road as we understand. Bill O'Brien, Ray Lintott and Brian Sampson. Going through BP Cutting and heading its way up the hill. Happy sight for all those Commodore lovers out there. We've got one that's still hanging in there. Bill O'Brien, of course, last year came to Bathurst and had an almighty coming together with the concrete wall on the first day of practice. He was able to put that right. And he's been a regular campaigner at Mount Panorama in this 1,000-click race for, I'd say, all of about 12 years.
He had a long delay at the start, as you remember, Mike.
Yes, they had problems with the car, didn't they, Nev?
Yes, good fight back, really.
Was that this car or the Finnegan car?
They had trouble with the Finnegan one.
Yeah.
And the O'Brien Lintott car, number 36. Running 10th, as I said before. Pit stops coming up shortly for both the Dick Johnson and the Benson and Hedges team.
Yeah, it's going to be the second round of stops now that we're going to get over the next sort of half hour or so for all the Sierras, which of course are slightly thirstier than the BMW, so it does mean that as far as they're concerned, they would have had a chance had that Brock car stayed in, but that looks to me to be out and about.
I've no doubt that Brocky will find his way back into the second BMW shortly. Here's the Madeki Sofa car just ahead of the O'Brien Lintott Commodore. They're still in there running 11th.
And sounding fabulous. It's great to have some of these V8s still on the Mount Panorama circuit. It's a noise we've gotten used to over the years, and bar the Commodores, it's all but disappeared.
Yes, it's deep-throated roar. Most welcome back to the fans that assemble on the top of Mount Panorama.
The sound of V8 engines and the smell of Castrol, that's what we need.
Yeah, the modern way of going about things is having sort of these small engines like the four-cylinder Ford engine, which doesn't really make a very nice noise at all, particularly with a turbocharger.
Yes, well, of course, the concept of turbocharging means that you pump your exhaust note back into the engine.
Yeah, you just choke it.
Pit stops, as we said before, car number 18 into the pits. At the same time, in comes Alan Moffat, steps out of the car.
Dickie Johnson definitely getting back in to the 18 car for the afternoon session.
Yes, we're covering both of these for you. There's Dick back at the wheel. Their third car, the surviving car, being helped to strap into the car. As Neil Lowe said not too long ago, there's still a long way to go, and they're quite happy with the way their third car is running. So they're still in this with a big chance. Running fourth at the moment. The Moffat car is about to come back out of the pits.
How tailored are these seats, Neville? I mean, it's all very well to cross-enter, but I mean, if you've got a small guy who's set to drive, say, car 18 in this case, and then you've got a big lanky fellow like Dickie getting into it, would it create problems?
It would create problems, yes. They can be very uncomfortable. I mean, one of the things you can't do is to move the seat around too much, because you've got to have a really strong mounting there. Yeah. The other thing is the seat belts are tailored as well. And if you've got them tailored, should we say, to two drivers, then it's fairly easy. But otherwise, it's not quite so easy.
Well, A long pit stop this for...
yeah, they're checking the battery
Johnson.
there. They've got electrical problems by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's not going quite like it'd like to.
Let's find out. John Brady.
Yes, this pit stop's been going for 1:28 now. It was supposed to be just a quick driver change and tyre change. They're having trouble getting the car started. It's going back up on the jacks now. They're racing in with a couple of mallets to get something underneath. Perhaps one of the jacks isn't up. They're attacking it from two angles. They've got the battery on it now, the booster battery, trying to get the thing kicking over. This is desperate times for Johnson. As we said, he's already lost the two cars. He was down on time on this anyway. It's 1:54 ticking away now. And this is hurting him very badly indeed, as if he didn't have enough pain already.
Thank you, John. Well, as viewers can see, there's plenty of activity in the pit area here at Mount Panorama at the moment.
There's Longhurst in behind Diggy now.
Yeah, I'd say Longhurst has stepped out of the car and will hand over to Thomas Mazira. Young Thomas has been in England this year. Went there last year, actually.
Now
But
look at this.
Frank Gardner has a lot of respect for young Thomas Mazira.
They weren't using the air machine there, mate. They were having difficulty getting that wheel off.
Looks could tell everything, couldn't they? Dick Johnson started here with 3 cars. 2 down, 1 to go. Some electrical problem.
Not a happy little Vegemite at this juncture.
No, and good reason. There's Thomas Mazira. Last minute word from Tony Longhurst. And Larry Perkins in car number 10 also comes in. And heading in at the same time as Colin Bond. So we really do have a very congested pit area at the moment. Mazira is out in the Benson and Hedges car, going back to the racetrack. Car number 25 rejoins the race, running in 3rd position. So young Mazira is underway.
Yeah, we've seen quite a lot of him in Europe. He's been dodging backwards and forwards, driving Formula 3, Formula Ford. He's become, if you like, a typical journeyman driver because he hasn't really made it in single-seaters. I think more for lack of money than anything else, but this is a good chance for him. And I think, well, the car's sitting well. If it lasts, it can only do him good.
It's been running strongly all day. A lot of responsibility on this young man's shoulders.
Also in the pits at the moment, there's Alan Jones, Australia's former Formula 1 king. Oh, and they've got a few problems here with the Caltex Sierra, but they're working on it. Larry Perkins, of course, was in for his pit stop, and he has rejoined the race running still in 4th position.
Was that a brake problem or petrol?
That was, well, I thought that was brake originally, and I think you'll find it is. What they're doing, they're changing the pads on it.
And bleeding it.
And bleeding it. They had a look, in fact. I noticed that one of the other Sierras was down in the Longhurst car, because pads are something they are going to have to face up to changing. It doesn't delay things that much because of the amount of fuel going in. You can change wheels and change pads without a big delay. Alan Jones, having the first of a number of drives he's got arranged for this end of the year. He's also going to be doing the big Australian sports car race that counts towards the World Sports Prototype Championship as well.
At Sandown
in
November.
Meanwhile,
Diggy Johnson sits there.
Well, the problem behind the Caltex car looks like they've either got a fuel leak, or have they what?
Oh,
no, that's not bleeding the brakes. That is a monster fuel leak. Now, we saw this earlier with some of the Sierras in the warm-up lap. You'll remember they were having fuel spill problems, but this is more than just a spill. This is a dead-set leak. They must have punctured the tank there.
It looks as if the breather on the tank, they've had a problem with the valve, and they've overfilled it. It's coming out through the breather. And, of course, it'll go along now, spreading that round the circuit for a little while, which won't exactly please most of the marshals or the observers. But I wouldn't want to stop Alan Jones, would you?
No.
Alan Jones joins the Tui's 1000, taking over from Colin Bond, rejoining in 5th position in the race.
And Alan looking very fit. In fact, I hadn't seen him for quite a long time. Seems to be enjoying himself now. He's back over in Australia and away from the hurly-burly of Formula 1.
Neville, we've just had word that they're changing starter motors in Dick Johnson's remaining Sierra, so he certainly has had a tragic run of luck. Run of bad luck.
If he'd started four cars today, he'd wind up with 2 of the doors not opening on the 4th one. He couldn't get into it. He's just had the most horrendous run here. And they were probably the best set-up team coming to the 1000. is Alan Jones. First lap around Mount Panorama. He'll wring the neck of the Caltex Sierra, make no mistake.
Very popular run this, I'd say, Mike. It's a good thing to see Alan Jones back out in front of the crowds who love him.
41 years of age, lives at Surfers Paradise and driving the Caltex Sierra today. World Formula One champ in 1980, winner of 12 Grand Prix events. Bathurst debut came back in 1981, and of course his last start was fourth at Bathurst in 1984. One of our wins profile drivers in the Tui's 1000, Alan Jones.
Well, Jonesy on the straight. Coming up on one of the BMWs.
I can't see any more fuel coming from the back of the car, so they've obviously used up the little bit of excess they had. Would they black flag a guy for a fuel leak if it continued?
They would do, yeah. I mean, they do it in Europe, and I'm quite sure that with the French gentleman of your acquaintance, they would do exactly the same here.
Pardonnez-moi, monsieur, ne continuez pas.
I wouldn't like to say that to Alan Jones myself. Probably would understand you anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you said mate at the end of it, it'd be all right.
Yeah, just be the thing.
Well, the Tui's 1000 continues. We check them out for you on the Castrol scoreboard. And in a shuffle of positions after those pit stops, Robbie Francevic and Hana now take the lead. Tony Longhurst and Mazira are running in second. Perkins and Holm in third place. Bond and Jones in fourth. Moffat and Needswitz back to fifth. Sixth place held by Johnson and Bow. That's likely to blow out any tick now. 16 running in seventh spot, not Scott and Nakaya. Eighth spot is Madeki and Soper. Ninth, Shield and Preston. And rounding out the top 10, Giddings and Stewart. They've jumbled up all the positions after the pit stops. We'll have more in just a moment. 68 of 161, the Tui's 1000 from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. On screen at the moment, we have the Raleigh Starrier, number 31. This is the car being shared by Terry Shield and Brad Jones. They've made their way up to 9th, I believe, at the moment, or 8th. And the Scott and the Kaya Raleigh Starrier is already back in the pits there, completing their pit stop. We take our Motorcraft pit report. Gary Scott back in the car now. They're running very, very smoothly. No trouble.
I must say they're very impressive, Mike, actually, because we haven't seen anything of the Starion at all doing any good in Europe, although we did have one in the British Championship that went very well.
Yes, they're certainly up in the top 7 cars. They were before the pit stop. Brad Jones in the 31 car. Good to see Brad having a decent drive. He's a very talented young driver. And was lead driver, in fact, for this team, and for some reason or other, they chose to go their way with other drivers, and I had the feeling that Brad was a bit on the outer, but I tell you what, he's shown them he can still cut the mustard. He's doing very, very well here today in the Tui's 1000.
It's been very consistent indeed. Both the cars running very strongly today. Armin Hana was in for a pit stop during the break. They had the bonnet up, but he's back out and circulating. Win Percy has been in with the trouble-plagued Commodore, and it looks like we're expecting one of the mobile BMW, or the remaining mobile BMW, to pit shortly too.
Well, the Grice Percy car is blown out to 34th position.
Here's the 10th place car of O'Brien and Lintop, the Commodore, in for what looks to be a routine pit stop.
As Ray steps into the car for the next stint as we take our Motorcraft pit report. They've been running smoothly. Now, position 14 on the racetrack.
Some of this pit work's been very good today, Michael, but I noticed they don't ever give them Smurfs or little games to play to while away the hours through the afternoon. Very sloppy.
They're a little too busy, I think, Doug. There's 31, Brad Jones. He continues along pit straight. And the interesting part of the race, Dick Johnson has it all to do, and car number 18, they dropped quite a lot of time in the pits with that problem, out to about 11th spot on the grid at the moment.
Yeah, Dick not very happy. They replaced the starter motor. He finally got it going. stalled it in the pits. They push-started him, and did he smoke the bags up pit lane? Oh, there's our car. There's our 10th place car, and he's into the wall.
Ray Lintott, who's just taken over the Everlast car, and it certainly won't.
It's the old story of going out on new tyres and going too quickly too soon.
Before they heat up.
Yep.
And that's a dangerous posse too.
Yes, he's just on the exit to Bridgestone corner. And I don't know whether he's trying to start it. We can't see the damage on the other side of the car, but I'd say it was quite considerable. Up to Tui's turn. Jones goes through there. That will give you an idea of the damage as Captain Frank Van Rees from our chopper shows you. Yes, he's caught the wall.
There's front end damage there too, by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And folded the bodywork back around the wheel and tyre. Given it a good working over. In the meantime, some of the slower cars, a bit of a handful for the front runners to contain. Some of them off the pace just a little. As they come down to Forest Elbow, though, there goes car number 31, and Brad Jones running 8th on the racetrack.
Jones finding his way through here.
He's carving up, blowing a little bit of smoke too.
I noticed that. I wondered about that.
Here they come. Looks like Andrew Madecki and Steve Soper. Richard Hay is also on the spot. Richard?
Yeah, now watch out for this near side front wheel. When Andy Madecki brought the car in earlier on, the brake duct had broken off and they had to rip it out of the way, which meant that the car has no cooling to the one front brake. As the front wheel comes off, they're now going to try and fit a new piece of ducting to allow the brakes to get cooler. Steve Soper's had braking problems with the car, and this is the reason why, because they can't get any cool air to them, and they're not working properly. Looks a lot like they're going to do a pad change as well. Soper is out of the car, Madecki is into it. All 120 litres of fuel are in it. Front and rear pads they're changing on the car, so brakes have obviously been a big worry with this one.
And we're running 7th on the road.
Yeah, they had turbocharger problems earlier on, which it appears they've now cured, but of course that lost them some time very early on in the race.
Well, Sierra's still a little suspect. Andrew Madecki sits in the pits, waiting to be ushered back onto the racetrack. 31 is also in the pits, Brad Jones. And also car number 44 in for a quick pit stop as well. That's John Giddings and Bruce Stewart that we were following earlier in the Caltech Sierra. So a bit of work to do on the Blast Dynamics Sierra of Andrew Madecki.
We've seen several of these cars with brake problems. Neville, have they experienced similar problems in long-distance races in Europe this year?
Well, they do, but I think here you've got sort of some rather unique problems. A, it's 1,000 kilometres. B, you've got this great big long straight and a lot of slow corners as well, and so they're using the brakes very hard. And we've seen a number of people change pads, and I think that these people are probably taking a little bit longer than most, but then they're doing the ducting as well. But certainly, as far as Stephen Soper's concerned, he's made up for, I think, some big disappointment. Everything back in place as it should be, and the wheels going on, so that shouldn't be too long now.
There's the mobile BMW, car number 56, the one that Peter Brock started the day with. At the moment, we have Neil Crompton at the wheel, and we take pictures from race camp. We've never asked him to do it before. Hello, hello, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, talk us around if you've got a chance.
Okay, Mike, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, mate. You're very, very faint, and I'm having trouble with, I think it's Peter Jansen in the little M3 here at the moment, but I'll do my best. We've just changed into, I think it's 4th gear, now 5th in this thing, back to 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st if I can get some room. Thank you, Peter. If only I could get this damn Commodore. All right, I'm into fourth gear at the end of the pit straight.
Looks like the pace
Here
cars.
goes the run up Mountain Straight. And it takes a bit of getting used to this 6-speed gearbox. And when I finally got back on the pace, I found myself tangled up with good old Barry Graham, who's an old sparring partner. So it's a bit of fun.
Neil, Doug Mulray, can you hear me, mate?
Here you go, Dougie. How's it going, buddy?
Firm and fabulous, thank you. Listen, it looks like you just got past the pits in time. It seems that the pace car is going to come out onto the circuit to clean up that Commodore mess you just passed.
I can't really hear you, mate. The yellow flags are out here.
Yeah, the pace car's coming out now, Neil. So for the second time in the race today, the Mazda pace car comes out on the circuit, obviously to clear up the Everlast Commodore that's on the exit to Bridgestone Corner. Can you hear us any better now?
Michael, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you, Neil. Go ahead.
Your the pace car's out, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, it looks like at least you got to drive today, mate.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
And we've got two views of you here.
I reckon I'm going to be a bit smelly out of the Warwick Farms by the time I get back to see you, though. But to quote an old buddy of ours, I'm only doing it for Jilly and the kids. Mate, if only this thing had some grunt. I sound like I'm from Daisy Hill, don't I?
Yes, you do a bit.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. It's a shame with what happened to the number 57 car. But at least I'm getting a drive. And for anybody who's been as silly as I have over the last 20 years wanting to drive around Bathurst, this is not half bad.
Neil?
Yes, mate.
What was the problem with the 57 car? We only saw it stop at the top of the mountain.
Sorry, mate, you'll have to say again, and I'll look to camera. I forgot that I'm supposed to be a professional.
Look out the window, for heaven's sake. What happened to the 57 car?
The 57 car was stuck up the top of the hill, but I have no idea why.
Well, he wouldn't, would he? Because he's sitting in that one.
Yeah, they probably told him, but he couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, I can't hear you.
That's okay. You're doing fine. You've got to start at Bathurst. Does it look like Brocky might want to have a drive of this car a bit later, do you think?
I'm not sure, but I reckon that possession, I should say, is 10 points of the law, so he's going to have to hoist me out the window.
Have you ever seen a kid as happy as that?
Mate, this is sensational.
All right, mate, we'll let you get back to concentrating on the race restarting, and we'll follow you around.
Okay, I'm sorry it's so hard to hear you, but this thing makes a squillion decibels.
Okay. Neil Crompton, we were talking with then, driving the mobile BMW. The pace car is out on the racetrack, and I think Peter Brock is ready to get into that car. So that's, at least we've had the opportunity to see one of our own into action. And of course, with the pace car now out, we'll probably have 2 or 3 laps while they pick up the O'Brien car. And at the moment, of course, Klaus Niedzwitz and Alan Moffat leading the race in car number 9, the ANZ Banking Sierra. Second spot being held down by Tony Longhurst and Thomas Mazera in the 25 Benson and Hedger Sierra. Third place is the Holden Special Vehicles Group A SS Commodore of Larry Perkins and Denny Holm. And running in fourth is, of course, Armin Hanna and Robbie Francevic. So Sierras still dominating. Recapping them for you on lap 72, Moffat and Niedzwitz, Longhurst and Mazera, Perkins and Holm, Francevic and Hahn, and Bond and Jones running out the top 5. In 6th spot, 16, Scott and Nakaya and the Starion, outstanding effort that. 7th is Medecky and Soper, despite their pit stops. 8th spot, 31, Shield and Preston and the Rally Art Starion. 9th spot, 44, Giddings and Stewart. And rounding out the 10 now, 18, Johnson and Bow. Is the race over for Johnson? I don't think so. Rama at Bathurst for the Tui's 1000. You haven't missed anything in the break. We're on lap number 74 of 161. The pace car, the Mazda pace car, is out on the racetrack. Obviously, because we need some tidying up to be done. And of course, the Everlast Commodore, Bill O'Brien, Ray Lintop, the guy He was in the car when it clobbered the wall. The truck is picking up the vehicle at the moment. It was on the racing line, not the best spot to leave in front of drivers. And we'll be back to racing in a couple of laps' time. It's been quite an outstanding 2 E's 1000, and we're into our number 3.
Updated with wins the third hour of the great race for 88.
Thank you, Gary Wilkinson. Pace car still on the circuit, as you can see. The Mazda with the cars closing up right behind the pace car. Number 9, the Needsvits Moffat ANZ Sierra. Continuing to lead the 2 E's 1000. Longhurst in second, Perkins in third, and Armin Hanna and Robbie Francevic in fourth place. And the pace car must have come out at the right spot on the track, because we just about have all the leaders closed up.
This pace car situation is interesting, Mike, because it looks to me as if there might be some confusion over this question, you may recall a few moments ago, as to whether Moffat's car was still in the lead. Apparently in the last pace car situation, it was thought that Moffat may have overtaken the pace car. I didn't see it personally, but if that's what they're thinking, that might account for the fact that their figures at one time were different to ours. It's something that will probably explain itself as time goes by, as the song says.
Well, it's come back to the fact that the number 9 car is definitely the race leader.
And he has got his full lap.
Yes, he's got his full lap. I think somehow they missed the Moffat car on one lap scoring. Lap out scorers, Nigel Greenway and Phil Harrison, who do all of the scoring for us as backup to the race score system, picked up the error immediately. That's why we've continued to call the number 9 car in front with a lap advantage over 25 Tony Longhurst. Longhurst is 0.88 of 1 second clear of Larry Perkins, and then 1.12 seconds back to the fourth placed car, number 45, the Sierra of Armin Hanna and Robbie Francevic. Then 23.06 seconds back to the fifth car, and that is the number 4 Caltech Sierra of Colin Bond and Alan Jones.
It's not going to help the opposition to catch up with Moffat in any way, but it's going to help them, of course, because they're all going to be an awful lot closer together when the pace car goes back in, and since they're all on the same lap anyway, it should cause a bit of fun.
Well, of course, 9 that we mentioned to you were Needsvits, Moffat and Greggy Hansford, 1 lap clear. Then behind them, 25 Longhurst, 10 Perkins and 45 Francevic are all on the same lap. There you can see the picks. So we should have a good scrap going here for second when the race resumes.
Yes, will we ever, because Perkins is only 0.88 of a second behind Tony Longhurst in second spot. So there's a real battle looming between those, and of course they will close up behind the pace car.
The other interesting thing is that that particular Commodore is going so well. It's the one that spent its time over here that Perkins has gone his own way with, and to a large extent I think owes an awful lot to his preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's got the experience under the local conditions.
Cars circulate through Bridgestone Corner. Hope you're enjoying the 2 E's 1000 on the Australian television network. A reminder, some major sporting events coming up on the Australian television network. October 13, Australia's Lester Ellis defends his Commonwealth Junior welterweight title against Scotland's Bobby Harkin. You'll see that coast to coast with a replay in Melbourne. November 18 through 20, Greg Norman leads his All-Australian team into battle with Sandy Lyle 6 in the inaugural Australia versus United Kingdom golf test. That's live from Marvellous Mirage at Port Douglas. And then, of course, 7 Summer of Tennis begins November 28 with the Southern Cross Classic live from Memorial Drive in Adelaide. And then from December 4 through 11, the National Tennis Centre plays host to the Federation Cup. You'll see them only on the Australian television network. Andrew Madecki. They've been in and out of the pits, Gary, a couple of times, but they're still in the hunt here.
Well, they're in 11th place on the track at the present time, so you can't knock that, because they had a lot of early troubles, some turbo problems. And Andrew has done it tough, but as our wins stats will show you, he's a driver of unbelievable talent. Of course, spent a lot of time in Formula 2 in Australia and was runner-up in the championship 2 years in succession. and also a finalist in the Australian Formula One Grand Prix in 1982. It's his third start at Bathurst. He's had to struggle in terms of sponsorship with this car, but here at Bathurst, things were looking so good for him, but they did come unglued early in the race. Power Dynamics came to the party with some funds, and, or Blast Dynamics rather.
They come up with some unusual sponsors, don't they?
They do.
Guy happens to be a mate of Andy's.
You can see why the pace car was instituted here at Bathurst for that very simple reason. In the old days, and those days are not so old, I can tell you, that those trucks used to rumble around here with the cars going full blast, and it was dangerous.
First time I came here, I can remember that happening. I was just quite speechless about the whole thing. I couldn't believe that such a thing could occur. That has made things a lot better.
We could have put the trucks out today. That would have given the FISA stewards something to think about.
Yeah, they're trying to get interested in that as well.
Well, the drivers, of course, a lot of people will say it was good enough in the old days for the guys to cope with the problems of the trucks. But I think every driver in the old days was praying for the fact that they would come up with pace cars and keep those big heavy vehicles off the circuit during the race.
Well, the Hire-It crew from Seven Hills in Sydney have got the O'Brien car on the deck at the back, trundling back towards the garage area, and it won't be too long now before we see the pace car fold its wings and head back in. One more lap, though, under the yellow conditions.
I think what changed it all was the tremendous increase in cornering speeds when we went on to slick tyres, apart from the fact that they also go an awful lot faster in a straight line as well.
So the cars circulate around behind the pace car. Don't forget, more motorsport on the Australian television network on Sunday, the 18th of December. And we bring you the NASCAR 500 from Calder Park Thunderdome, with all of the top American drivers here to race the Aussies, including Dick Johnson. That's something to look forward to. Sunday, December 18, the NASCAR 500 on the Australian television network.
There are 20, well, there were, I guess some of them are not in the hunt at the moment, but there were 26 first-time starters here at Mount Panorama today in the 2 East 1000. Neil Crompton among them, of course, and a number of the overseas drivers like Ulf Granberg and Anders Olofsson here and racing for the first time. But quite a number of local drivers. Mike Preston, who's been making such an impact in production car racing, Group B racing around Australia, having his first start at Bathurst this year. John Sachs from New Zealand. Brett Riley also having his first start here. Although Riley, of course... Hello, Gracie, how are you doing?
I don't know, maybe he's listening to us.
Yeah.
Are you listening to us? Good afternoon, Alan.
Yeah, I can talk, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. It's been sort of a different day for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, could say that.
The pace car, Alan, do you think that's a good idea for this particular racetrack? You've done some racing here in the past.
Yes, I do. I think the pace cars are definitely safer. They help keep more cars on the track, therefore the racing is better for the people that pay to get in the gate.
Yes, a lot of the old-timers would say, oh, they didn't need pace cars back in 1964.
No, but you had the inner tubes then too.
Yeah, that's true. So what's the game plan? How well is the car running at the moment, and what are the problems?
Well, the car's running well again at the moment. There's nothing wrong with it, but we can win it from here, Mike. I'm going to call in for a pit stop, and I'm going to have a massive injection of anabolic hemorrhoids. And I reckon we can win it from here. We're only about 20 laps behind. Not a problem.
No, you're only in 34th spot. That shouldn't be a problem to a man who can just about race anyone wheel to wheel.
Yeah, but we haven't started the sprint yet.
Oh, that's right. You save that for last, though, don't you? Alan, putting this deal together to run the Commodore, you were expected, and I know you believed a couple of months ago you'd be running a Nissan here in the 2 East 1000.
Yes, that was the plan, and the decision was made to do that, but then for some reason the decision was changed.
That's very concise, Alan.
Well, the decision was changed. They just pay me to drive the things, and I almost get 10 quid a week now, you know. The money's pretty good.
Truly.
And they pay me to drive them, and they make the decisions, and that suits me fine after years of trying to do the whole thing myself. I'm eminently happy to do it that way.
Good boy. I think we'll be going back to racing very shortly, so good luck. We'll follow you in that sprint to victory lane.
Well, I've just got to call in for that injection here first. I hate needles. The only thing I might go in this lap, might be later.
All right. Thanks for talking with us, Alan.
Hello, mate. Have a nice day.
Same to you. You're welcome. The exit to Caltech's Chase. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the pace car duck to the pits.
Yeah, the lights are off, Mike, so he's on his way.
Watch this for a charge behind. Keeping in mind, Tony Longhurst with Perkins right behind him. Everyone's going for it. As they come through the turn, along pit straight, they're off and racing, and it's the number 9, Needsvitz, Moffat and Hansford Sierra, the ANZ car that assumes the lead and leads the field now up Mountain Straight. It starts to stretch away a little from the Bimmer.
The interesting point's going to come now in this battle that's going to go on for second and third, because of course the pace car being out means that they've closed right up together, and that fight will be well and truly on.
Well, Longhurst or Thomas Mazera trailing Klaus Needsvitz in the number 9 car as they head up Motorcraft Hill. He was really sprinting then. Get away from the pack, set your own pace again. The exit to BP Cutting.
Full lap clear, this car, of the second place getter, Longhurst, but Longhurst with Perkins right on his tail. In fact, 0.8 of a second between them.
And in fact, it's Armin Hana, the Whittaker car, that is in fact past Perkins, so it's pulled up a slot 2 on the way up the hill. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Watch them go through. Klaus Needsvitz. Very, very smooth. Treating the car well. A lot of the other teams have had problems with their Sierras, but this Eggenberger prepared car seems to be running as strongly as it was at 10 past 10 this morning.
Yeah, well, Rudy Eggenberger, I think, was very disappointed that he didn't win Spa this year. He'd set his heart on getting the Sierra through 24 hours and spent a lot of time on preparing the cars, and it just didn't happen for him.
Here's Tony Longhurst, and you'll notice right behind him the Robbie Francevic, Armin Hana, Brown Sierra. It's coming up behind Longhurst, having already dispatched Larry Perkins. BMW making life a little difficult here for the 45 car, but it switches to the outside. Gets the run down to the corner. So, number 9, the leader, 25 here, a lap behind, running in second. Third is 45 on the same lap. And right behind that, number 10, Larry Perkins. And we'll notice coming out of the blue now is the remaining Dick Johnson Shell Sierra getting up to go racing with them. It's down in 8th place at the moment. Down a couple of laps. But Johnson's trying to pick them all up. Still Thomas Mazera.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, the Sierra there, number 45, has got something hanging at the back. I think maybe a bumper's come loose. That's Frankovic, I think, who's driving at the moment.
I think it's all that drastic plastic hanging off the tail of it, Nev. That's had the shimmies and the shakes for a while. Armin Hana, I believe, back in that after the latest bout of pit stops with Mazera in the 25 car. Hasn't he driven splendidly here today?
Yes, I think this has been a big character-building season for Armin, because he really fancies himself as a fast man, but on the other hand, he's had to really get on with the job this year in a car that's not always been too reliable, and learn to drive a car a bit within its limits.
Bit of smoke there coming off the 25 car.
I think there's a locking rear tyre, locking rear brake.
Hana runs pretty close to him. Just back behind them, the special vehicles Holden Commodore, trying to contain Dick Johnson, who's coming on with a bit of a surge now to pick up a couple of laps. Great pitches as they come off Forest Elbow. Down Conrod Straight. That roller coaster effect that I mentioned before. And that little kick that is quite severe on the run down to Caltech's chase.
Swing loose under the front of that 45 car as well, not only the rear.
Yeah, it's some ducting of some sort or other that's come adrift.
This is the battle for second, for third and fourth place rather. No, second and third place.
Second and third.
Yeah. They're both
yeah,
ahead
fourth
of Larry
place.
Perkins. Yeah,
fourth place man right behind
correct.
him.
Lap number 80.
Halfway mark.
Halfway mark. The Tui's 1,000. The real mountain marathon today from Mount Panorama. Is that plastic is giving the sponsor on the back bumper some great exposure.
I'm still mystified as to what that is hanging down under the front of the car that's flapping, but I think it's some ducting that's come down from inside.
Again, car 6 in the pits, the Blast Dynamics, Andrew Madecki. Sierra. Fuel spillage there.
I don't think this is a scheduled stop, in fact. This is the car that had some problems before, and I don't think this is a scheduled stop.
Well, it's a slow stop.
Yeah, it's not a scheduled stop. He's got a problem.
They were 11th on the road, some 5 laps in arrears to race leader Klaus Needswitz in car number 9. Richard Hay is in the pits. Frustrating times for Andrew Madecki, Richard.
Yes, indeed, and would you believe it, the same problem that slowed them down earlier on and caused them to have an early pit stop when they ran out of turbo boost. They had no boost because a pipe had blown off. They have exactly the same problem once again, and it looks like they're going to have to put that pipe back. We're having a look now, actually, inside of the engine. Andy Madecki's looking very upset there in the driving seat. Steve Soper doesn't seem too happy about it all either. So more delays than for car number 6.
Well, we hope that Andy Madecki can overcome those problems, get back out on the racetrack.
Soper, of course, has been the other hot shoe of the team, the Eggenberger team this year. And at one time, it looked as if he was going to take the European Championship, but a bit of ill fortune got in, and then it was down to Pierre Dodonné.
They had made it up to 8th position. Andrew Madecki.
One of the Caltech Sierras is in the pits as well at this time. I don't know whether it's... is it Bond? Yes, it is.
No, the Jones boy,
Is
I
it?
think.
Well, it's the number 4 car.
Yep. Alan Jones at the wheel.
Now, they were in 5th position when they came to the pits.
They have 77 laps completed. They are 2 down on race leader Klaus Ludwig.
And that looked to be more than a tyre to me.
Thomas Mazera sprints up Motorcraft Hill to BP Cutting. Armin Hana getting quite close now as the work continues down.
Yeah.
Down in the pits. All is not going well here for the Caltech CXT team, with Alan Jones sitting in the car. Richard has already explained the problem. Well, they've got some shavings in there. While that's happening down in the pit area, out on the racetrack, our own Neil Crompton driving the Peter Brock machine, carrying our headlight cam just to give you a lap around the circuit and what it looks like from so low to the ground. Over the top to Tui's turn. Into the left-hander.
We'll keep an eye on Crompton here and see if he gets the apex of the corners right. And as they spear across the top at Skyline and begin the downhill run, let's go to Neil Crompton and let's take us round a lap of Mount Panorama, Neil, with this unbelievable headlight cam.
I'd be happy to do that for you, Wilco. I've just changed into second out of the dipper and now third. And now on the brakes for a little run towards Forest Elbow. See if you can tee up Rocky for a have a chat. I want to talk to him about the car. Round through the left-hander at Forest Elbow, out of second to third, to fourth, to fifth. And they're going to have a bit of a relax now to sixth, changing at about 8,200. I have to say that because Archer's listening and he builds the engines. And if I rev it any harder, he'll kick my tail. Just a bit of a feather going through the left-hander. On the brakes and back to second, nice and gently. To third. Beneath the Bridgestone bridge, appropriately on our Bridgestone shot car. I tell you what, Wilco, I'd be real keen to get a two-ease into me.
Well, listen, you might get some advice in your ear in a moment because Rocky's standing by and listening.
I couldn't really hear you very well, mate, but the good thing is now I'm able to have a fairly quiet run on my own, so I'm going to try and do a decent sort of a lap.
Okay.
Jersey.
While you're doing that decent lap, we've got Peter Brock on a headset to talk to you.
Hello, Crompton.
Sorry, mate, I couldn't hear you.
Hello, Crompton. Are you listening?
Sorry, mate, I can't really hear you, but anyway, I'll just press on with a bit of a chat. I've got Jonesy behind me now in the Caltex car, so you should see the speed difference with the Sierras when they come down the straight. And no doubt Jonesy will catch me pretty quickly, so you should have a bit of a look at this.
Well, this is the sort of country where Neil is looking good. This is a second gear corner. He's taking it in second too. It's very tempting to use first gear there.
I'm not quite sure who that is.
It's Peter.
I can't hear whoever it is, but I'll press.
It's Brocky.
Rocky?
Yeah.
G'day, buddy, how are you?
Very good, Crompton.
Mate, this car's sensational. Where's it been all weekend?
Now, you weren't quite close enough
Mate,
that
we're
curb
having a
there.
bit of a go here. The interesting thing about these tyres, Rocky, is that they actually sort of come back a bit once we slow down.
Yes, I'm going to change compounds for the next one. I've been listening to you moan and groan on the radio, Crompton, so I'm going to put a set of 52s on. How's that?
Keep me away from those 52s, please, Peter.
Well, I'm going to try them
I'll
out.
do anything for you.
Okay. This is an interesting
Hey, mate, I
corner.
want you to pay attention and see whether you can help me find those 3 seconds that I'm missing. I said on television yesterday the reason I was 3 seconds slower is I'm towing a caravan. That was a good excuse at the time, but maybe you should try and give me some pointers, eh?
Well, you've got to go flat out through this next corner for a start.
Oh, mate, I'm going through the kick.
Yeah, and you lifted your foot off too, Crompton.
I don't know what you said, Brock, but I'm sure it was cheeky.
Okay, that was nice through there. That was pretty good. Now, you've got to break down here at the second dark mark on the road, not the first one. Now, you're a little bit early there, but not bad. Okay,
Mate,
into the apex. That's good.
I've just got a 29.4.
That's not bad for you, Cromley, for a television commentator. Okay, now stand on the brakes, get into the apex. No, a little bit, that's not bad, actually. Yeah. Into third gear. There's some friends of mine on the left-hand side there. Give them a bit of a wave, will you? That's are you using 8.3, 8.4, Crompton?
Sounds like you're doing all the chatting, Brock, so I'll just drive for a while.
Okay.
Back
Well,
to second here.
second, back to third. Third, I hope, Crompton. Okay, out wide. That's a good line.
That's third gear, isn't it?
That is third
I don't know
gear.
what gear I'm in half the time.
You can't count, can you? It's a 6-speed gearbox, and Crompton's very confused. He's never driven it before.
I just keep going for another gear, so long as it's faster, that's all that counts.
Okay, second gear. Out the third gear now.
So I think this one must be third.
That's
and you
third.
can hold this thing absolutely flat out over here.
Yeah,
Here's
good.
one of those delightful Toyotas. These are lots of fun.
Now go wide here. Go wide.
That's
Ooh.
okay.
Keep it wide over here, Crompton.
That's ruined that lap.
Okay, in close, keep it flat. 8-3 along here in 4th.
No, I got to 5th, Rocky.
Oh,
This thing's
come on.
No, I think this must be 2nd. I don't know.
It is 2nd.
Feels right. If it feels right, do it.
Yep. Up to 3rd gear down here. Okay, let it drift in here, just under trailing throttle, on with the brakes. In close, sees the apex now. Yeah, good. You're not doing too bad there, Crompton, actually. I'm impressed.
Brocky, Doug Mulray, mate.
Oh, Doug Mulray, one of the aficionados of motorsport.
Mate, I think you're being kind. I've been watching Crompton. I reckon he still thinks Apex is a club.
I can't concentrate.
And Mulray, of course, now being the proud possessor of a CAMS licence. How'd you get it, Doug?
Graft and corruption, Brocky, like I get everything else.
We shouldn't be talking with poor old Crompton here. I'm going to hop back in this car very soon. And Crompton, I've got to tell you, I need my helmet back.
I don't know what you guys are doing, but I bet it's not to my advantage.
Thanks, mate.
Uncle Doug.
Crompton's giving me a bad reputation out there, I think. Doug, how are you enjoying it?
Oh, mate, this is sensational. An opportunity to work with professionals like Gary Wilkinson, television's answer to Magnum. The round man of sound. Distinguished gentlemen like the Hayes. And, of course, your good self.
Oh, that's great, Dougie.
Mate, you guys have gone a lot harder than a lot of people expected. You could never write off Peter Perfect.
Well, I ran over a tyre before.
I remember the days when this used to be a motor racing telecast and it's rapidly become a comedy show.
Now, Crompton, oh, watch out for him. Oh, Crompton's impressed. He's passed the car.
I reckon the 2 East 1000 could end up being 7's highest rating comedy, maybe even outdoing Hey Dad.
Beautiful. A couple of days.
Mate, I'm going to get on with the job here.
Okay.
Too much time.
Thanks, mate.
Well done, Crompton.
You never know, you might finish 37th in this race.
Okay, some magic moments there on race cam. Neil Crompton at the wheel. Advice coming from Doug Mulray, Peter Brock, and just about anyone else who wanted to talk to Neil.
Yeah.
He handled that pressure rather well.
He certainly did. Crompton at the wheel, Brock at the microphone. There's a switch.
Just a little bit of technology to make our coverage of the 2 East 1000 a little more enjoyable for you. Heading into lap 86 of the 2 East 1000. Number 9, the Moffat Needswitz ANZ Sierra continues to lead from Longhurst and Mazera and the Benson and Hedges Sierra. 3rd place, Francevic and Hahn in the Wolf Racing Sierra. 4th place, Perkins and Holm in the Castrol Commodore. 5th spot, number 4, Bond and Jones in the Caltex Sierra. 6th spot, Scott and Nakaya in the Starion. 7th, Johnson and Bow in the Sierra. 8th spot, Medecky and Soper still running. 9th, 44, Giddings and Stewart in the Sierra. And 10:39, Ashby and Reed in a Commodore. And there's a lot more to come in Australia's great race. Pit time in the pit area, Bob Rowland Smith, the Minister for Sport for New South Wales, and his entourage. Great guy, very interested in motor racing and one of the prime movers behind making sure that this race was on. Local boy or a local gentleman, I should say, from Orange. But they're having a talk to Peter Brock, who's ready to put on the helmet and get back into the mobile BMW for the late stint this afternoon. In the meantime, we have car number 45, Armin Hana. Just trying to check that gap between Tony Longhurst and Armin Hana. And in fact, Hana has been able to get by Tony Longhurst, or Thomas Mazera, I should say, make everything nice and official. So Hana, in car number 45, has now moved to 2nd on the road. Tony Longhurst is 3rd, and Larry Perkins is 4th, and not that far behind Tony Longhurst. Now, while we were following that, our headlight cam would like to show you something of this on the Caltex replay. Just how close when that Commodore in front of Neil Crompton kissed the wall on the exit to Bridgestone Corner. There's 45. Now, I think the race that's going to develop behind this is going to be Larry Perkins and Tony Longhurst. There's Longhurst into view, Zero at the wheel of the Longhurst 25 car. And right behind them is the number 10 Holden Special Vehicles, the Castrol Commodore of Larry Perkins and Denny Holm. Still have no indication whether or not Tom Walkingshaw will have a run in the car today. There's Mazura going through in 25. Exits BP Cutting and makes his way to the Tooheys turn. They come across the top of the mountain. There's the gap from Thomas Mazura back to the Larry Perkins Denny Holm car. Here comes the number 10 car. Denny Holm at the wheel, I believe, with the red uniform. Little sideways out of there as he makes a move now. These full-face helmets. Often difficult to tell the difference when they're running team helmets. Denny Holm, of course, 52 years of age, from New Zealand, driving with Larry Perkins today in the Holden Special Vehicles Castrol Commodore. Fifth start here at Mount Panorama. World Formula One champion in 1967, 8 Grand Prix wins. Made his Bathurst debut here in 1982. One of our wins profile drivers in the great race, the Tooheys 1000. Johnson sitting right in behind. Denny Holm as they come through a long pit straight. Everything looking good for Denny Holm. Johnson just sits in behind in the Palmer Tube Tech Sierra, Shell-sponsored car. But I think they would be fairly happy with where they're positioned at the moment in the Commodore.
Yeah, I've got a feeling Tom's going to be very happy with the way that car's going, and there's going to be some questions asked as to why he had the problems with his. But Larry knows this circuit so well, and if it comes to preparing a car, then I think he's obviously got... Whoops! Denny Holm got very sideways there. As I was saying, the car very, very well prepared. And that surely is Johnson right behind him at the moment, worrying him like a dog with a bone. He may be out of the leading positions, but he's right there.
The way it stands, though, Moffat and Nidvitz leading, Francevic and Hana in second place, then Longhurst Mazura in third, Sierras 1, 2, 3, then the first of the Commodores, Perkins and Holm, as we've just seen, Scott and Nakaya in the Starion holding down fifth place. Bond and Jones, the first of the Caltech Sierras, is sixth, then the sole surviving Shell car, 18, Johnson and Bow is seventh, Giddings and Stewart in the Caltech Sierra number 2 entry are eighth. Crow and Jansen, the BMW M3, and leading that class are in ninth spot, then Madecki and Soper in the trouble-plagued Blast Dynamic Sierra.
Bridgestone RA71.
Panorama, lap 88 of 161, the Tooheys 1000, and in comes Neil Crompton. Waiting to see whether or not he'll pass the car over to Peter Brock. We saw Brock putting the helmet on earlier. About to step in now. He's all geared up, so he'll be able to talk to us during the latter stages of this race. And those are pictures obviously coming from our second camera in Peter's car. That's the floor-mounted camera. Nothing seems any problem, does it, to Peter Brock? Last year, of course, they were trailing the field, and Peter came through to win. He's got quite a job ahead of him if he plans to do it this afternoon without the aid of rain. But as we take that Motorcraft pit report, Brock's just about ready to head on out.
Slight delay there because he had to retrieve his helmet from Neil Crompton. That's the one that's wired for sound, as it were.
Ready to head on out of the pits. Jimmy Richards standing in the background there, slams the door. And the boss is back.
So Brock, he's been in this car, out of it, in the other one, out of it, and back in here. And back on the track. That's car 53. Now, this is the car that's leading the class 1600 up to 2,500 cc's. That's the category, of course, which encompasses the Peter Brock BMWs. This 53 BMW is driven by Trevor Crowe and Peter Jansen. He's always got to get on the act, hasn't he?
Yep.
Now, he is a real once-a-year racer and somehow manages to flum a drive at Bathurst.
I think it's the old captain.
It's the captain at the wheel at the moment, yep. And, of course, he's turned on some spectacular displays here in years gone past.
Here comes the captain, Peter Jansen. There's Tom Millard.
I think he's going to get into this number 10 car shortly, next time it comes back in.
He's actually cracked it for a smile. Is this close enough from our headlight cam down to the dipper?
The Madecki car just in front. Andrew Madecki at the wheel.
Just look how quick Brock can close over the mountain. But as they take the left-hander at Forest Elbow, look at the turbo power now come into play on the Sierra. Watch it run away from the mobile BMW. A little bit of difference with horsepower there. There's the difference. And the Sierra opens that gap all the way. Andrew Madecki car, now 8th. And it's going to the pits. It heads into pit lane as Brock comes down. Oh! Over to the top of the curve. Beneath the Tooheys Bridge. So Brock there to make up a little bit of time in the mobile BMW.
Yes, in this class, I mentioned the 53 car of Crowe and Jansen. It's leading the category at the present time, having covered 85 laps. Second place in the class is held by car 54. That's John Sachs and John Sorensen, also in a BMW M3. They've covered 83 laps, 1 lap less than the class leader. And third place is held by the Brock car, 56 rather, and they are back in 27th place on the racetrack.
Okay, another Motorcraft pit report. Andrew Madecki back in the pits. He's been a frequent visitor there throughout today. Problems with the number 6 car, the Blast Dynamics Oxo Sierra. A very, very casual pit stop. Steve Soper, of course, having a look in to see what the problem is. Co-driver for Andrew Madecki. Richard Hay is on the case down there in the pit area. And they seem to be taking their time with this pit stop, Richard.
Yeah, at the moment, I just asked Steve Soper what the problem was. He said, I don't know. Any the wiser now, Steve?
No, looks like the same problem as before. Turbo pipe keep popping off.
Must be a fair blow for you after the problems of last year.
Yeah, I hope to get revenge, but it looks like you'll have to wait for another year.
And so, problems with the other team car that Pierre was driving?
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of luck either, did they?
Not your year this year.
For sure it's not.
Don't think we have to say any more. A very disappointed Steve Soper. Car number 56. Mobile BMW. Peter Brock at the wheel. 9-time race winner. Really some fabulous pictures coming from that car today. One more lap completed by Peter Perfect.
He's in 25th position.
Peter takes the left-hander and heads into Mountain Straight. And it's still car number 9. Klaus Niedzwitz leading the race with a 1-lap advantage. Coming up to the cellular phone sign and into the right-hander at Bridgestone. Some great picks there. Let's recap them for you on the Castrol scoreboard. Moffat and Niedzwitz lead in the number 9 ANZ Sierra. Second, Francevic and Hana in the Whittaker Sierra. Third, Longhurst and Nazir in the Benson and Hedges Ford. Fourth place, Larry Perkins home, and I guess that'll be Walkingshaw in the Commodore. Fifth, 16, Scott and Akaya. Really great stuff from them in the Starion. In sixth spot, Bond and Jones in the Caltech Sierra. Seventh spot, Dick Johnson and John Bow in the Shell Ultra High Sierra. Eighth spot, 44, Giddings and Stewart in another Sierra. Ninth spot, Trevor Crow and Peter Jansen in the BMW M3. And rounding out the 10, 6, Medecky and Soper dropping down the list in the Oxo Blast Dynamic Sierra.
We've completed 93 laps out of 161 for the Tui's 1000 in 1988. On screen now, car 71, one of the Team Toyota entries, the Toyota Corolla, being driven by John Faulkner and Drew Price. They lead this under 1600cc class. They're in 21st position on the track. They've covered 81 laps. Second place in the class, and in 22nd position outright is car 73, driven by Brett Riley and our own Peter McKay. Brett Riley's an interesting case. This guy used to drive Formula 3 in Britain 10 years ago, and Nigel Mansell was the number 2 driver in the team to Brett Riley, and now here's Brett Riley driving a Toyota Corolla at Bathurst.
Yeah, just goes to show, doesn't it, what you can get if you've got a Birmingham accent.
Well, third place in that class, by the way, is held down, well, they're all Toyotas in that category, and the fourth car is the Brian Bate Andrew Marr car 74. Well, who's left? I think we might update what's happened in the past hour here in the Tui's 1000, because it's pretty hard to keep track of just who's in, who's out, and what's happened to whom.
Commodore in the pits.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Car 39, that's the Lansvale Smash Repairs entry. Trevor Ashby, Steve Reed. Bad luck because they worked their way up into a solid 10th position in the race, but something sadly astray there, because the front of the car is jacked well up off the ground, working away underneath there, and a gear lever is jammed apparently, or broken.
Yeah, it looks as if it's broken off inside there, and they're trying to dig out the pieces and put another one in.
Well, that's bad luck for them, because, well, the Commodores have not had the best of days here either. It's jammed in second gear, and it's a long way around Bathurst in second gear.
Very long. The straight proves a bit of a problem, I think.
It's okay going up the straight, it's just the coming down that's the problem.
But you can't get away from it that this car's in a dominant position and has been now for a long time. Still, Klaus Niedzwitz.
Heading up to Tui's turn, lap 97 of Australia's great touring car race, the Tui's 1000. Klaus Niedzwitz in the Rudy Eggenberger prepared Alan Moffat owned ANZ sponsored Sierra. And I guess with 9-time winner Peter Brock not looking like he can climb back up off the cement here today to win the race, and bad luck for Dick Johnson. Perkins still very competitive, so too is Armin Hana. But it's been a long time between wins at Mount Panorama for Alan Moffat.
Sure has, but he's lining up and looking pretty good at this stage, and no protest against his car either.
No, that's quite amazing, actually. It was one of the few cars not protested during the week. But after the problems of last year that were faced with Rudy Eggenberger, 2 cars eliminated for some coachwork irregularities, I think this would be the last car that Rudy Eggenberger would want to see with any sort of protest about.
BP race cam shows us Klaus Niedzwitz at the wheel of the ANZ Sierra. Left-hand drive. And the gear change quicker than you can blink.
Great picks from our BP race cam. Big weekend for BP, launching their new Visco motor oil here at Mount Panorama with a huge campaign. To the left-hander, hit straight. And as Neil Crompton pointed out earlier this morning, Klaus is very, very easy on this car. He's very, very fast, but just so easy on the equipment. And the reason probably being in the fact that most of these drivers run a 500-kilometre race, European Touring Car Championship race, every couple of weekends. And if they're not running that, they're either running the British Touring Car Championship or the German Touring Car rounds. So I think you'd agree, Neville, 500 clicks to these drivers just like a mere sprint every Sunday afternoon.
Very much so. And of course, Klaus has got dreams of driving big sports cars. And his other big thing is, of course, that he's quite a television star back in Germany. He thoroughly enjoys doing television and does quite a lot of motorsport programs there when he's not driving.
I thought he must have had something to do with telly, because he spent a lot of time with us yesterday in our pound and on Friday. Come in and have a look at the tapes, and very, very polite gentleman. Want to put anyone out. And of course, he's been nursing an injury for most of the year.
Yeah, he actually, as the man who was behind the wheel of the Mercedes when the tyre burst at Le Mans, and if that wasn't enough, and he got out of that very shaken, about a fortnight later, he was in a Sierra that went off the road in a very big way at the old Nürburgring, and it rolled itself along the barrier. And he found himself upside down with a very badly broken arm, and was out of racing until the very beginning of September, in fact. He still hasn't got full use of that left arm. And I think he's got to have some more work done on it, physio and what have you, when he gets back home. But he's very much a man to watch, and I think he very much likes saloon cars. They suit him very well. The other thing you have to keep him off is motorbikes, because he has a habit of falling off them. And it's quite interesting. He's got Greg Hansford in the team. He can tell him a bit about that.
He certainly could.
Nice guy. Needs fits. I had to chase him down actually in the pit area yesterday for an interview, and it had to be done between practice sessions. We only had a couple of minutes to do it, chase around for microphones, cameras and lights, and I was apologising for holding him up. He said, "Oh no, don't worry." He said, "You've got the hard job." He said, "I know." He said, "Because that's what I do." He said, "When I'm back home in Germany."
Yeah.
Okay, time to update. If you want to know where your favourite driver is running in the Tui's 1000, we'll go through the full field for you. Race leader Alan Moffat and Klaus Niedzwitz in the ANZ Sierra with 96 laps completed. They're one lap up on Francevic and Hana on 95, Longhurst and Mazier on 95, and Perkins and Holm on 95. Fifth spot held by Bond and Jones on 92 laps. Sixth place, 18, Johnson and Bow on 92. Seventh spot, 44, Giddings and Stewart in the Sierra, also 91 laps. Then Crow and Jansen in that little M3. They're doing very well in eighth spot. Ninth is 24, Kay and Monday in the Jag Parts Commodore with 89 laps completed. Rounding out the 10-16, Scott and Nakaya in the Rally Art Starion.
11th spot on the track at the moment, 88 laps covered. Ashby and Reed, followed by Sorensen in car 54, also on 88 laps. 13th place, Hunter and Harrington in the Commodore, and Callahan and Graham, another Commodore, in 37th place. Medecky and Soper in 15th, all 88 laps covered for those cars. 87 laps, Mulverhill and Leeds in the Commodore, then Shield and Preston in the second Rally Art Starion. Leeson and Wilmington in 18th spot. Park and Tyndall 19th, 85 laps covered. Position number 20, Faulkner and Price having covered 85 laps.
21st position, number 12, Harding and Bartlett in the Commodore. They're still battling on. Then from the Lusty brothers and their Commodore in 22nd spot, 23rd is Crompton and Brock. 24th is Riley and McKay in the Team Toyota Corolla. 25th, 74, Bate and Marr in another Toyota. 26th is 78, Holden and Beck in the Bob Holden Motors Corolla. 27th is 23, Lambden and Bailey in the Bow Repairs entry. 28th, 19th, Finnegan and Matthews. 29th, 26th, Tony Noski and Graham Moore. And 30th, car number 2, Bryson Percy.
31st position, Mortimer Ratcliffe in a Corolla, followed by Oliver and Freeman in a Corolla. We're in Corolla territory here. O'Brien and Lintott 33rd in a Commodore, 66 laps only covered. Then Brock and Richards in car 57. They're in 34th position. And Radicic and Finnar in 35th place. Car 33, Rogers and Andretti went nowhere after lap 37. Rogers and Jones in 37th position. Selby and Duquette in 38th place, only 28 laps covered. Then Bow and Gravett in 39th spot. Ward and Clement covered only 24 laps for 40th position. Johnson and Bow, the 17 car, only went 22 laps. Carter and Masterton the same. Fury and Scave only lasted for 17. Bagnall and Dieudonné went 9 laps, and McLeod and Keogh lasted only 7. Tulloch and Granberg, 46th position. Then Walkinshaw and Allen, 5 laps. You know what happened to them. And 0 laps for Seaton and Olofsson and Bond and Jones in the number 4 car. That shouldn't be there.
No, that's quite right. We've got more to come when we return to Mount Panorama.
We're about to clock up the ton here at Mount Panorama. 99 laps completed out of 161, and we pick up, there's the race leader just going by the 24 entry, that's Gerald Kay and Jeff Munday in the Jag Parts car. And they've been reliable, if nothing else. They've had no dramas in the pits. They've just circulated all day, not tried to push too hard. And lo and behold, here they are in 9th position on the racetrack, 91 laps covered.
That's the old model Commodore,
yeah,
the VK. And from what we heard this morning, Gracie was telling us it may well be a faster car than the new Holden Special Vehicles version.
Well, he believes that. He thought the model they had a couple of years ago was pumping out more horsepower. But it's just great to see Gerald Kay up in the top 10. He is a guy that supports all the touring car rounds. He travels all over Australia, never gets much television exposure. Well, here it is, Gerald, the Jag Parts Commodore, and you're doing a great job out there. Running 9th on the road at the moment. Just another Aussie battler competing in the great touring car race, the Tooheys 1000.
You don't see a lot of him because he doesn't get into trouble an awful lot. The car's always reliable, so it's never in and out of the pits a lot. It doesn't draw a lot of attention to itself. He doesn't race with the front runners, but he's just a damn good, careful driver and is doing a great job out there again.
Sure is. We'll have another bout of pit stops coming up shortly. Expect the leaders in. Standing by in the Johnson pits, the Longhurst pits. And we also expect the leading number 9 ANZ Sierra into the pits. Now, Alan Moffat nominated 3 drivers. There's the mobile car in again.
Tyres and fuel. Front seems in order. Peter Brock looking relaxed at the wheel. I mean, he's not in contention, he knows that. But still out there to fly the mobile flag.
He really is a great product for motorsport, Peter Brock. Motorcraft pit report showing you Brocky's stop at the pits. They're ready to put the hood down and hopefully getting back racing again. I hope he continues to the checkered flag because he's been bringing us some stunning pictures out of our race cams mounted in the headlight and also on the floor of the mobile Bimmer.
The elbow out the door there, Mike. He is as calm as the proverbial cucumber. All his energies polarised here today. Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
It's taking a while. They've got a problem with the... that's right, they're doing everything manually on the rear to jack it up. It's almost like just a picnic stop, isn't it, for Brock? That continues on. They may have a slight problem. Alan Grice in the FAI Insurance Commodore. They've climbed up to 29th position from about 37. And Tom Walkinshaw now jumping into the Holden Special Vehicles number 10 car, cross-entered with Larry Perkins and Denny Holm. As we go back to the pits, courtesy of Motorcraft, 10 was in 4th spot on the road and was only 5.94 seconds behind Tony Longhurst, who was running 3rd.
Well, so far today, this has been the worst moment in history for Scotland since Bonnie Prince Charlie's carpet for France. Let's hope Walkinshaw, who is a tremendous competitor, has a reasonable run in his 2nd car in the afternoon session.
Of course, the other car that the
Can I get that wheel on? It's got it.
Yep, they flew that across here, hoping that it had been better set up than the cars prepared by Perkins, but Larry's done a hell of a job for Holden Special Vehicles with that car. And there we have Klaus Niedzwitz stepping out of the number 9 ANZ Sierra. The word we had was that Greg Hansford would step in. Looks like they're doing a pad change.
Those brakes have been problematic on most of the Sierras here this afternoon. Yeah, it'll be nice to see Greg Hansford go around. He's gone around here in recent years with Moff. Before that, of course, very fast on motorbikes.
Exceptionally, yeah.
Seeing him up here in 1974, the Easter meeting. Most exciting motor racing I've ever seen, and he's pretty good on 4 wheels as well as Greg Hansford.
There's Klaus. He's done everything that was asked of him today. Rudy Eggenberger has done the same. Pad change, one of the Eggenberger teamsters in here. And ready to put the wheel back on. They're already holding a 2-lap break over Tony Longhurst in 25, so they can afford the luxury of an extended pit stop to make sure everything is just super smooth for the run to the flag. That's if the car starts. Yes, it has. So Greg Hansford finally gets a chance in the Tooheys 1000 with a team that has everything going for a win. 45 also in the pits as Tom Walkingshaw goes by on the top of Skyland.
They've got a big problem.
Oops, we've got one that's pulled off in the sand trap. That's what the crowd were cheering about up there. Looks like it was overheating. We'll go back to that shortly. It was parked up there.
The 45 car, Mike, Francevic, although it's... who was that?
It's car number 19, of course. The one that we were talking about earlier this morning had the moment.
Best presented award.
It's Finnegan.
Finnegan and Kenny Matthews. That looks like little Ken, actually. Ken is a very well-known car dealer in Sydney. 19 was in 27th position. Sponsored by Trojan and Sutton's Motors. So their race is over. I think Ken would be bitterly disappointed. But he comes to Bathurst each year with Pete Gagan and all the boys, and they have a great time up here.
Radiator hose has gone on car 45, the Wolf Sierra, Robbie Francevic's car. They were in 4th spot when they went to the pits, but I think they're going to lose a couple of positions if they don't get a move on.
You're not wrong.
I noticed as we go back to Walkinshaw that they're wheeling the mobile BMW away. The last of the mobile BMWs is going to bed.
That really is a pity. Wins star profile drivers. Tom Walkingshaw, 40 years of age, lives in England. I thought he owned it. Driving a Commodore, winner of the Spa 24-hour Classic in 77, 84. Winner of the Enduro title 84. Bathurst debut in 84. And third at Bathurst in 85. Tommy Walkingshaw, he's in the Commodore. And they have a chance of a top 3 finish here at Mount Panorama today. He really is a very keen driver, an excellent driver actually, and hasn't had much opportunity to race throughout 1988. Looks like troubles for the Grice Percy FAI Insurance's car.
And the last Shell car is in as well. Motorcraft Pit Report takes us on the spot. Driver change coming up here. Dick Johnson getting back in the car, getting out of the car rather, and putting John Bauer in. Brake pad change for this car too. They're all running short on brakes, as you said, Doug.
Well, if you're going to run 282 kilometres an hour consistently down Conrod, you've got to expect to load your fronts up.
Also, Doug, at the same time, number 25, Tony Longhurst, is in the pits.
Well, he was in 2nd place, of course, on the racetrack.
Just behind the Johnson car. Richard Hay is reporting. You got some, a few of the leading cars in there, Richard.
Yes, indeed, and the surprise, I think, has been not that the Sierras have all had to have brake pads. A 1,000-kilometre race, you'd expect them to certainly be running low on brakes at the end, so they may well stop for a pad change. But I was just speaking to Larry Perkins, who said that the Commodore would not require brake pads, so that should save them some time. Now, as you can see, the Shell Sierra here has just had pads in. It's also had a driver change from Johnson to Bow. It's been refueled. It's also had some oil poured into it. There's a fair bit of drama going on around here still. It's not been a quick stop at all.
Richard, they seem to be working away on that starter motor again, the problem they had previously.
Yeah, that would appear to be the problem at the moment. Wheels have been on there. Wheels are now coming off. So quite what's going on down here.
Longhurst's going back out.
John Baz looking very frustrated indeed at the wheel at the moment.
Well, Tony Longhurst had a lightning-fast pit stop. He was in and out again and has still retained his 2nd on the road. John Bow, car number 18, the Shell Ultra High Sierra, gets underway. They're running 6th, or they were 6th on the road. But there's Greg Hansford of Queensland, 3rd driver in the ANZ lineup for this weekend. Klaus Niedzwitz. has done his stints. Moffat has had a run and kept the pace up of the car, the front of the pack, let it throw out. And now Greg Hansford's time. Great shots as they come down. Time for a Caltex replay. You're wondering what went wrong with Kenny Matthews and Terry Finnegan's Commodore.
Something's let go in a big way. It looks like he's done a motor.
Yep. At first there it looked like it was coming out of the rear end, but the smoke is actually coming out of the engine. So, Dickie Johnson.
What a hellish day for Dick Johnson.
18 with John Bow at the wheel has rejoined the race in 5th position. So it's still the number 9 car leading the race on 103 laps, one up on Tony Longhurst, and he is one up on car number 10, the Larry Perkins, Denny Holm, Tom Walkingshaw car. That is Greg Hansford.
The three Musketeers, Moffat's Musketeers, we've had Moff doing well, Neatswitz has been around, and Greg Hansford doing a good job now. A tremendous trio.
Another wins star profile, Greg Hansford, regular nice guy, 36 years of age, lives in Brisbane, of course driving this weekend with Alan Moffat. 6 times Australian motorcycle champion, winner, 10 motorcycle Grand Prix events, winner of the Daytona 100 in 78, and debut in 1984. And I tell you, he's a dab hand in a touring car, and he only went to touring cars, of course, after his motorcycle career finished. And what a brilliant rider he was. 45, that's the Whittaker Peanut Slab Sierra. With Armin Hana and Robbie Francevic has completed its pit stop and is now back to 4th spot as we pick up VP Visco Race Cam in the ANZ Sierra. In fact, that was the Wolf
Peanut
Sierra.
slab.
Going very slowly, too.
Just gobbled up the peanut slab there. Yes, he would have problems, judging from the way Hansford went around him then.
There's Conrad Strait. And our race leader, Greg Hansford of Brisbane. A lot of our Queensland motor sport supporters obviously hoping that Dick Johnson would bring them a Tooheys 1000 victory. Well, the way it's looking at the moment, it might be a Queenslander, but it's not going to be Dick. It'll be Greg Hansford in the ANZ Sierra. And if everything stays the way it is, it'll be very nice to bring him home to victory with one of Seven's race cams. If the last time we had race cam on a winner was back some years ago with Peter Brock.
He's been the only race cam winner.
Careful, Wilco. No one will carry it next year. Keep talking like that.
No, we did pretty well this year with Dick Johnson carrying it for all the rounds of the Touring Car Championship.
We're lining up for number 2 this year.
Good boy.
Car 9, ANZ Sierra, 103 laps completed. The race leader, a lap and a bit up on Tony Longhurst in 2nd place. Car 25, 3rd spot, the Commodore, Perkins and Walkinshaw. They've covered 102 laps as well. Then Francevic and Hana clocked up 100 laps in 4th spot, car 45. Bond and Jones, the first of the Caltex Sierras, 100 laps also in 5th position. Then Johnson Bow, still in 6th spot, the car 18. Giddings and Stewart in the 2nd Caltex Sierra in 7th. And Crow and Jansen leading the under 2500cc class in 8th spot. Kay and Monday and the Jag Parts Commodore still soldiering on in 9th position. And then Sorensen in car 54 holding down 10th place at this point in the great race of 88, the Tooheys 1000.
Arnold.
How many times have we seen this today at Mount Panorama? Andrew Madecki, Steve Soper, disconsolate, standing by the car, going nowhere. They've had more pit stops than you could point a stick at, and that's bad luck for the Blast Dynamics entry. And I don't think they're going to go any further at all, the way things... Oh, no. No, Steve's going back out for another pedal, but it's all in vain at this stage, I think, just to keep showing the flag.
Bad luck for Steve Soper. He's certainly had a few pit stops.
He really does want to win this race very, very badly.
It won't be this year.
No way.
Might have to wait till next year. Also notice the Armin Hana, Robbie Francevic. Sierra's back into the pits yet again. Car 54, where are you?
That's
2 stops virtually in 2 laps.
Kiwi entry, this one. John Sorensen and Kane Scott, and they're in second position in this 1600 to 2500 cc category, which encompasses all of the BMW M3s and the one Mercedes 190 Phil Ward's, and they've been doing a real good job here. Trevor Crowe and Peter Jansen, Trevor Crowe of course a New Zealander as well, leading this category, car 53 also in an M3. Kane Scott is only 19 years of age, would be the youngest driver in the race today. Of course, young Golson didn't get to start in their BMW 635. They were wiped out by the stewards and not allowed to start, which was bad luck for his father, Ray, in particular, because he started in this race. I think he's had more finishes in this race anyway than any other driver. He started in it 18 times rather, and has finished the race 17 times and yet couldn't get a start this year.
Yeah, I feel for him. But we have some major problems with the Whittaker Peanut car. There's Armin Hana, who has done so well.
Very brittle, this car.
Yeah. Robbie Francevic there. They're talking about the vehicle. Looks like it is done for the day.
They were in 5th position, having been 3rd for quite some stages of the race. Overheating problem.
Well, Robbie gave it a good shake along with Armin. They were up as high as 3rd.
Mark Petch there in the red top.
In the meantime, Alan Grice continues in the FAI Insurance Commodore.
Battling along well back now in 27th spot after all the troubles that they've had. The Lusty brothers just ahead of them. I see another Commodore just going back onto the track from the pit area, car 12. Of course, that's John Harvey.
Well, the Lusty boys are doing well today. Steel Mark Commodore. Gricey whizzes by on the outside. Hare and Tortoise. Gricey's been in the pits on a number of occasions, and the Lusties have just been circulating all the time. Let's have a look at one of our WinStar profiles, Alan Grice, 45 years of age. Lives in England, partially. Drives a Commodore and a Nissan. 18th start at Bathurst, and he was the winner in '86. Australian GT champ in 1984. And debut, of course, here in the great race in 1968. Come much better than Spicy Gricey when you like some traffic racing. And another one of our WinStar profile drivers in Australia's great race here today at Mount Panorama. And we take race cam over the top of the mountain. Well, Gricey, we're checking back in with you. Still running 27th, mate.
Well, there you go, you see, the sprint started.
Well, it won't be long. The sprint, with the way we figure, you'll just about make it for the checker.
Yeah, it's been one of those days, Mike, but all we can do is keep going and put some miles on everything for Les, because he's the bloke that's going to be left with this sort of program to run one of these cars. So the more hard miles we can do for him, the better he'll get on top of these things, you know. It's just a matter of putting in, and he's done it before. He'll come up as right.
Tommy, you've spent most of the season with turbo power. You've gone back to naturally exasperated today.
Yeah, very naturally. I'd love it to Android to put up the side of this thing. It does do some things pretty good. It goes across the top of the mountain there, the fast section over the top. It's quite enjoyable to drive there, and certainly quick compared to everything I've seen up there.
Do you run the gauges there just to frighten everyone?
Well, Les and I have decided that gearbox gauge is faulty. In fact, the amount that the leaders are moving is just going wrong. The diff, I reckon, is probably running at that temperature, but there's such a big old...
Okay, Alan, thanks very much for that, mate. We'll come back to you.
The water's a big one, and that's...
Thanks to Alan Grice. Little break up there. We go, oops! No sooner do you give them a rap and they bury them in the sand trap.
Well, they were running second in that category. Sorensen and Scott in the 54 car, the BMW M3, and it's buried nose down in the sand trap on top of the mountain and going nowhere. Car 46, Hunter and Harrington on screen at the moment, the Sunliner Campmobile's Commodore, and they're in 11th place on the track, so that's a pretty good effort on their part as well.